Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hey there.
We're gonna discuss the film Blackmail, starring Irrfan Khan. This will be non-spoiler in the beginning, and then we'll get more into spoilers as the video goes on, and we will let you know loud and clear when we dive into spoilers. This is from IMDb, just to give you guys some sense as to what the story is about, in case you know nothing. When Dev finds out his wife is cheating on him, he secretly blackmails his wife and her lover as a form of revenge. That is the catalyst, the inciting incident to the entire film. From there, a whole bunch of interesting things ensue. For me, watching it, one of the first things I thought of was Snatch, just because stylistically, the music, the way it's shot. The other thing I thought of was the Koay brothers, because it feels very much like a Koay brothers film. This is, of course, coming from me, a Westerner, my American sensibilities and perspective on it. I don't know what Indian filmmakers that might have influenced this project. One film that I did think of, oddly enough, was Ugly, because it almost felt like if Anurag Kashyap tried to do a film with levity, this would be it. This film very much felt like a comedic version of Ugly to me. Over the course of the film, it reveals just kind of the worst in people and their desires, their selfish desires, but it all kind of unfolds itself in this comedic fashion in a way that's a little bit unexpected. Overall, I actually liked the picture. I thought it was a good movie. I just felt like that first hour went on a little long. I would have cut that down by a good 30 minutes and you would have had a solid 90-minute movie. I mean, I loved Irrfan Khan's performance. I loved pretty much the entire cast, for me, was excellent. They were well chosen. Even the big dude played by Singh, I thought he was excellent because he was kind of this jock. He had so much personality that he brought to the character. I thought Kirti Kulhari, like all the actresses, all the actors, everyone did a fantastic job with their characters. There's not one person in the film who I was like, I would have preferred that to be somebody else. Overall, like the tone and the story, even the music was really cool. There were some musical choices I was not so hot on, but overall I was like, yeah, this is a solid movie. Like I would watch this again.
I thought it was really fun, especially the end. I just wish that they had managed to kind of get that energy and pizzazz that they had at the end of the movie into more of the beginning of the movie.
The first half.
Yeah, the first half. And I think a lot of that is just like that it was too long and I was like, I get it. Otherwise, like I thought it was great. I loved Irrfan Khan. He didn't have many lines, but he was the character through and through. His acting just spoke volumes. He was wonderful and all the other supporting characters were great as well. And I also really liked that pretty much everything that you see in the movie has its place. It's got its significance and its meaning and nothing happens just randomly and it all ties up really, really well. So that was very satisfying as a viewer.
And there was a lot of setups and payoffs throughout the film and everything had a purpose, like you said. There was nothing excessive in the film, like there was nothing in there that didn't need to be there. Everything that was shown to you had some kind of meaning that was shown later in the film or revealed later in the film. And things that you may forget come back in a very interesting way. There was an interesting item number in the middle of this movie. I want to say that before I forget. I was thinking that while I was watching it, I'm like, this is the most random and different item number I've seen in a Bollywood movie so far. All item numbers I'd seen up to this point were uninterrupted. But here, there was dialogue in between it a lot. And I was like, okay, that's a different way to go about it. It almost felt like the film was sort of making fun of Bollywood cliches. It was kind of tongue-in-cheek. And now, I mean, I'm saying this as someone who has, all things considered, you know, very little experience with Bollywood compared to most of you guys who are watching this review. As someone who has only seen so many Indian films, it felt like he was kind of poking fun at some of the things you'll see a lot.
I thought it was well done, just the way it was integrated in there. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's an interesting way to do it.
The director of this film is Abhinay Deo, who also did Delhi Belly, Game, and Force 2. So knowing that he did Force 2 and Delhi Belly is really interesting because those are two polar opposite films. Force 2 it looks like a very serious action film, and Delhi Belly is obviously the antithesis, which is, you know, a very comedic film. He brought the two together, so to speak, the two different polar opposite tones. Oh, one other feeling I got was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Because Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a Robert Downey Jr. film that many of you may not know about. It's a very dark comedy. They call them black comedies over here, which Blackmail was. It felt like it had that kind of tone as well. Just for, you know, fun references for you guys, there was music in this that was directly pulled from Snatch with some nuances that were different. The theme song from Snatch, I forget what it's called on the soundtrack, but if you listen to the theme song from Snatch and then you watch this movie, you're gonna be like, oh my god, it's like the same song. They added in other instrumentation to give it some kind of semblance of a difference, but you feel that Snatch inspiration that's in there. Snatch is a film, if you guys haven't seen it, is a litany of characters that are all trying to like get something from each other.
Yeah, and they're all trying to get the same thing, aren't they?
Right, and so this is almost like what would happen if normal people were involved in a situation like Snatch. Overall, I felt like this for me was a 4 out of 5. I would watch this movie again. I think it was well crafted. Even though I have issues structurally with the film in that first hour, I think that overall it was really entertaining. The acting was great, the directing was great. Music for the most part was good by me. I very much enjoyed the film. My steam kind of wore out by the end because the first hour was so long, but just kind of objectively I could see like this is a well done movie and I liked it a lot.
I would give it a 3.5 just because I found that first half to just be a real struggle. If they had sorted out the pacing in that first half, then yeah, this would definitely be a 4.
This is going to be the spoiler part of this video. If you haven't seen the film yet, I would highly recommend you stop it here, watch the film, and come back to this part. Okay, so what we're talking about in that first hour is once they establish what the style of the film, the game of the film is, it repeats that first beat over and over again. It's this constant cycle of getting money from the same people again. And I'm like, I kind of get why they did it, but you really only needed that one time to then move on to the next part of the movie, the next part of the story.
When it happens the first time, that then money is asked back from Irrfan Khan's character, and then it keeps going in the cycle, and then that woman in the office gets involved, and then it happens again. It's like, I don't need to watch it all happen.
Right.
It can just be like info. I get it.
Right, but I really did like the scene work that was done. Like the acting was so good. Irrfan Khan and that lady in the hallway where he was trying to tough it out and then she gets tougher and he's like, okay, well, I thought I was the alpha, but clearly I'm the beta in the situation. The film explored this idea of what goes on in our head, this fantasy of how we would kill somebody, but we don't actually do it. And it did that too many times for me to the point where I'm like, okay, look, now I'm thinking that this is definitely fake because you played that card so many times. Had you dialed that back, maybe done it once or twice, then I would question it. Even at the intermission when he pushes her down the stairs, I'm like,
it's not real.
It's not real. There's no suspense for me at that point. And it's just exhausting my patience. Had they done it one time in the beginning and then one time there at the stairway, It
was really smart. Just the way it all tied up at the end. Like, that's what I really love about this movie. Everything was set up really, really perfectly. I just wish it could have been set up a little bit quicker. But then it was paid off how he tied up the loose ends of his big mouth colleague, the woman who was blackmailing him, the dude that was blackmailing him, his wife, and then the best part of all was that the whole water thing, that came into play and that became a really important part. And the whole time you're watching the movie, you're like, whatever, this water thing, like, how is that gonna come back?
I almost wished that he pulled a Clive Owen at the end, like, from Closer. I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens because that's a good movie. You should watch it. At the end of Closer, there's something interesting that Clive Owen does, and I almost wish that Irrfan Khan did that here with his wife instead of just deleting her number. But that being said, what Irrfan Khan did at the end of the film was the healthy choice.
Right.
Him just going, I'm abandoning ship. I don't need this anymore. I'm out. Deuces. That was a good move. You don't actually see that very often. And the way it was executed in the film, you don't see very often. That being said, there were some things that were just really on the nose, spoon feeding you. Like him playing the Pac-Man game or, whatever that is. It's a version of Pac-Man. Dougal. I like
Dougal was hilarious. That was awesome.
When it says you won, I'm like, okay, like we get it. I get that he won. Now you're like on the nose too much there. Let's talk about the music real quick. So the first time I really noticed the music in the movie was when he realized that his wife was cheating on him and he runs away and it's like this rock music and whatnot. I was wondering about how I felt about it while the movie was happening. Not because I wanted to. Like, I just kind of took a step back. I go, that's an interesting choice of music. I wonder why the director went with that. And it almost reminded me of In Bruges. In Bruges, at one point, went into rock music. This film doesn't consistently do that, and neither did In Bruges. When things get to this climactic point in Bruges, this rock music kicks in and it fits the film really well. Here, I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, that's an interesting decision to go with. I feel like this director really, really cares about his really crafting his films a particular way. Like, I can feel that, and his choice of music is very specific, and I can appreciate it objectively. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but I do appreciate it. I haven't settled on how I felt about his music choices.
Appreciating kind of artistic aspects of the movie, I really liked how it looked. The colors, the set design, it kind of almost had a whimsical feel with the colors, but then they were darker, so it was like dark whimsical. I also liked the kind of symbolism that was used as well. Everything is placed there for a reason, like the plant, and then at the end you're like, oh, it's a symbol for their relationship.
And it's also interesting how over the course of the film, things really escalate in ways that don't necessarily reveal themselves early on. They're like, they don't really have any telltale signs early on, like him sharing with his coworker what he did, and then his coworker revealing it to the girl. Like, you really don't know the dramatic implications of that when that happens. Like, it looks funny, like, oh my god, I told her this thing because I like her. You don't realize just the ripple effect it's gonna have through the rest of the movie, and it really has a huge one. Overall, I think that this was just very smartly written.
Yeah.
Just wish that they took down that first hour. This was like a very well done film, and I like it a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about the movie. I'd really like to know. And check out ACHARA KIRK. She has an Instagram account, and she likes it when you follow her and like her photos and videos.
Watch me be a scary monkey.
That's not a joke. That's not hyperbolic. She actually did act like a scary monkey.